Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. My name is Tyler Ellison, and I'm so pumped. I'm excited because this video is the first video of our new Angels and Demons series, where we are going to be talking about both the angelic and demonic powers that are impacting the days that we experience within the year. So, before we get into the first angel and demon, we are going to talk about the relationship between these two types of beings and how this relates to the wheel of the year. So there is a special name in the Kabbalah for God, for Yahweh, and it's described as the hidden name or the divided name, and that name is Shem Hamephorash. And this name is said to represent the 72 divisions within the mind of the source. These 72 divisions are said to be, on the magical level, expressions of very specialized forms of angelic consciousness. When these specialized forms of angelic consciousness are brought together, they are said to represent the sections of the night sky that pertain to the zodiacal constellations. So each constellation, Leo, Virgo, Cancer, each constellation is ruled by an archangel. The archangel is in many ways empowered by these groupings of lesser angels. The first grouping are what is known as the deacons of the zodiac. There are approximately 3 deacons per zodiacal sign, and these 3 deacons draw their power from the 6 angels of the Shem Hamephorash that pertain to that specific zodiacal sign. So when these angels are put together, for example, the 6 angels of the Shem Hamephorash for that portion of the night sky, the 3 deacons of the zodiac relevant to that sign, when these are blended, their consciousness empowers and expresses as the angel for the overall zodiacal power. So for a sign like Leo, that's going to be Verakiel. For a sign like Cancer, I believe that is Moriel. For a sign like Virgo, I believe this is Hamaliel. Yes, there's many angel names to remember. I do my best to train to stay fluent in them, because when you know the angel's name, when you know the angel's power, and you know its symbols, you can invoke it, you can summon it, you can draw its power into your reality, and you can utilize the relationship with it to open certain doors, to assist you in receiving blessings, and to empower you on your path. These 72 angels that make up the Shem HaMephorash are said to be the authoritative powers that rule over what are described as the 72 Goetic entities. The Goetia is essentially I would describe it as Kabbalistic, magical, Hebrew understanding of the demonic realm. These 72 beings possess various ranks. There are some that are presidents. There are some that play the role of marquis. There are some that are dukes. There are rankings within the hierarchies of hell, essentially, just as there are rankings within the hierarchies of heaven. For example, you have angelic choirs, you have the role of angels, you have the role of archangel, right? So these are hierarchies, right? And when we say hierarchy, what do we mean? They are separated by various levels of vibration, right? So angelic choir consciousness is going to vibrate at a certain frequency. Angelic consciousness, excuse me, said to vibrate slightly higher. Archangelic consciousness even higher. So the same is true with the beings of hell. We have these different vibrational frequencies that each of the beings emanate, and their role in hell is in many ways reflective of their vibratory rate, their vibratory frequency. Now, an important and interesting thing to point out is these goetic entities if you look at their powers, there's almost nothing evil about them. There are certain angels that actually possess powers that are much more heavy-handed and brutal than what you'll see in the Goetia. So the Goetic entities, 72 of them, they are, in some schools of thought, said to be the negative or yin balancing polarity for the more masculine and yang angelic polarity. So these 72 beings, 72 above, 72 below, are said to balance each other. Not all schools of thought think this. The most ancient texts on the Goetia do not seem to indicate that this is a type of link, yet there are many magicians and Kabbalists who report success in working with both of these entities, using the Shem angels to essentially command these various Goetic demons and beings. So the Kabbalah does talk about beings of evil, right? The Qliphoth really are the most obvious expression of that. Qliphoth essentially means shell or husk, and these are the beings that were said to come into existence through the chaotic creation of creation. So while the source was forming the various worlds, just as an artist is going to spill paint, and there's sort of a mess that's created in the creational process, the Qliphothic entities are said to be a byproduct, a type of waste product even, of the creative process. And because they represent this type of wasteful quality of the creative process, their powers are such. For example, in the Kabbalistic tree of life, we have the top sphere of Keter, and it represents the unity of God. Well, for the Qliphothic version of this, the role or title of beings that occupy the negative version of that sphere would be Daumiel, which essentially means the division of God. So with the Qliphothic beings, you are actually accessing the very powers that oppose the life force, that oppose creation, that oppose harmony. So there is a dimension of, you could say, the underworld or the shadow realm that is described in these magical Kabbalistic workings that do represent evil, which from my perspective is simply the rejection of evolution, the rejection of one's role in life, the rejection of one's true free will and power. So keep in mind that when I say these things, they are subject to interpretation. So see them in many ways. And there's people with very different views than I have. There are some people that work extensively with the Qliphoth. And the idea is, through working with these chaotic entities, you begin to master the chaotic dimensions of yourself so you can bring them under conscious control. Because we all have those moments where we are rejecting our evolution, where we're polluting our minds, where we're polluting our bodies in different ways. So we already engage these beings unconsciously, right? And the idea is, through summoning them consciously, you face that entity, which you have a mirror version of within yourself, and you work out arrangements with it. You find a way for you and that power to coexist with peace, so that power can serve you in tremendous ways. And to have power over chaos in our day and age is a wonderful gift, because there are many chaotic situations that affect millions of people. So to be able to actually command the beings of chaos is a huge advantage. And it is, of course, something that you must take into serious consideration. Working with Goetia, working with Qliphoth will invoke the very deep powers of the shadow. So if these beings are worked with carelessly, there are some significant risk. Insanity is one of the most commonly reported negative side effects of working with such beings. And I can verify it does happen. You have to be very careful. You have to be very grounded. An attitude of respect is truly needed if you work with lower powers. They have egos, just like we have egos. And when you're talking to a doctor, right, they want to be called doctor. When you're talking to a police officer, they want to be called officer so-and-so. You're talking to the president, right? You would address them as President so-and-so, right? There's these roles that our egos fit into that we come to appreciate, we come to own in a sense. So these lower beings, have denser personalities, denser personas. They are lower vibrational, so their world is denser, more solid, more physical in a certain way. So it's important to really respect these beings. And if you have never performed invocation rituals, I wouldn't recommend just rushing out and working with some of these beings, the angels included. I would recommend research these subjects thoroughly before you do any invokings. If you want to learn how to safely invoke these beings, I encourage you to join our Patreon, where I share and teach advanced methods for summoning angels and summoning demons. And I will show you the ins and outs of how to do that safely, how to do that effectively, because both kingdoms, heaven and hell, have a tremendous amount to offer the middle kingdom of humanity. So now that we've gotten that introduction out of the way, let's get started. So our angel of the day, and this angel rules from the 21st of April to the 25th, is Akaya. This is an angel of Taurus. This is an angel that is currently active right now. And this angel, its main theme is the spreading of culture throughout planet Earth. So if you are a person that is creative, you are making content, you're making art, you're making music, this angel is going to help your message blossom and flow into the collective reality. This is also an angel that is particularly useful for mental clarity, because of course that's how ideas that we're going to channel come to us. And this is also an angel to draw upon for learning. So if you are attempting to learn new skills, if you are attempting to master some type of craft that is connected to the gifts you want to share, this angel can absolutely be called upon to help you do this. The other role that is very interesting here, and this complements the cultural expansion, is that of leadership. So if you are finding you are in a position where you're mentoring people, you are guiding people in a certain way, people are counting on you for direction, that happens, right? Sometimes we get that gift of guidance and we share it with people, and they, in their process of learning to trust their own guidance, sometimes rely upon those with those gifts, being able to see a clear path. So this is an angel that can help you in positions of leadership, should you find yourself in one, or should you desire to put yourself in such a situation, into such a role. Now, one of the other things that's very nice about the Shem angels is there are verses from the holy books, right, that are said to complement the Shem angel's power. And if these verses are recited, it's said to be a mantra to call the angel forth. So the verse, the Bible verse connected with this angel, is Psalm 102:8. The Lord is merciful, compassionate, long-suffering, and of great goodness. So the book of Psalms is one of the most powerful books in the Bible. It's essentially a collection of hymns that are designed to bring praise to the source. I have used the book of Psalms in my own magical practice. I've meditated upon it. And one of my teachers, this was Damien Eccles, he was telling me, and I really appreciated this perspective, that when you're reading the book of Psalms and they're talking about how powerful God is, how great God is, how God will vanquish enemies and provide blessings and forgiveness, they are describing the actual promises that are made should one adhere to a conscious relationship with the source. When you have that conscious relationship with the source, which is what the angels encourage us to cultivate, you become tuned in and turned on in a powerful way, in such a way where your soul mission, your soul purpose can't help but express itself, because we were all made by the source incredibly uniquely. There's so much diversity here, despite our obvious similarities of the human form and the cultural and social things we focus upon. There's so much diversity from person to person to person. So no one's going to have the exact same passion. No one's going to have the exact same form of self-expression. No one's going to have the same muse or creative spirit. So your gifts, your talents, your skills are unique to you. Even if you see other people doing similar things, no one will do it in your way. So always remember that. There's always going to be someone better than you at something, but it's a endless ladder. There's someone better than them, and so on and so forth. So no need to compare. Get started with whatever your mission is, and you'll be rewarded copiously. You'll be challenged, yet empowered. So you'll strategically, with your brilliance, learn in real time how to overcome your challenges. Now, let's get into the Goetic demon of the day. The Goetic demon of the day is known as Amon, and he is a marquise. This is below a duke, right? A duke would have more authority, but it is above a role like a count, right? So marquise is pretty high up. Duke's pretty much the highest you can get in hereditary authority, right? It's even higher than, I believe, prince or princess, right? In terms of the hierarchical systems in the royal courts. So Duke's pretty high up. So marquise is just below this. This demon is said to possess a wolf's body and a serpent for a tail. And what's very interesting is it is said that the magician, should they summon Amon into their space, can change the head of this being. It is said that the being can be shapeshifted, so it takes on the head of a raven. And you might say, well, that's kind of an unusual ability and gift. What's the purpose of that? Well, remember that as forms shift, different energies and archetypes are introduced. So the wolf, being a terrestrial animal, right, four-legged, so connected to Earth, is going to be relevant to a certain domain. It's going to be relevant mainly to the terrestrial domain. The wolf form, of course, gives this entity a Martian or a Gaborian influence. The wolf is seen as a symbol of Mars, a symbol of Geburah. The snake tail is also another terrestrial reference in that the snake crawls on the ground. So this is showing us that with this being, there is a very strong terrestrial connection, but there's also a strong fire connection here. Now, let's say you change the head of this entity to the raven. Well, a raven has a strong solar connection. There is a lot of, especially in the East, alchemical metaphors that describe a raven in the sun. So the raven has a strong solar connection. In a certain way, the crow does as well. These things, of course, are up for interpretation, but are worth mentioning. So when this being takes on the head of the raven, its energy is going to change to incorporate that quality. And we're going to get into Amon's powers. Why would you invoke Amon? So Amon acts as an oracle. This being acts as a revealer of hidden information. So this being is invoked to assist the magician in understanding the secrets of the past and the secrets of the future. And this entity has a reputation for doing it quite accurately. There are some Goetic entities where their powers are revealing the secrets of the past and future, yet there will be notes in there that say the being will lie quite a bit. So you have to essentially corner them, right? In terms of how you're treating them, right? You essentially have to be stern with them. And speaking of which, that is the persona that Amon is said to have, this very authoritative, powerful, stern, noble quality. So with this being, again, it's important to see them in a high light. You never want to put demons above you. You never want to see them as totally inferior and belittle them. See them somewhat equal to you, but always remain in the position of authority. Because remember, angels were designed to assist the source. They see the source in us, and that is why they also serve humanity. You have to keep in mind, Goetic entities, Qliphothic entities, they do not see humanity like this, right? So it's important to never give a demon authority over you. It's recommended never to bow to them, not to show that form of respect, because of course, with bowing, you're putting yourself beneath them. So that form of showing respect would not be suggested by classical magicians. So a way to show respect is when you address the demon, the Goetic being, you would describe them as great, powerful Marquis Amon, right? And now you've given them the title. This is going to cause them to open up to you. There are also Goetic sigils that can be gazed upon to help you summon the demon. It is, of course, recommended to use caution if you start gazing upon them because it will form a doorway, a portal to their world. So you don't have to be terrified of these things or freaked out by them. Just, be prepared, know what you're working with. If you do call upon these beings, Amon can also be summoned for causing controversy and feuding between friends. So if you wanted to just be, a little stinker and stir up drama in your friend group for whatever reason, you could, or to someone else's friend group. If you had an enemy and you were like, I want to mess with their connection, theoretically, right, you could summon Amon to do that if you wanted to get revenge. But Amon also is used for healing tensions in relationships. So if there is controversy, if there is feuding between friends, Amon can be brought in as well to resolve that. So we see Amon has a strong social impact. We can also see that he has a powerful divinatory impact as well. So these are some reasons to explore these beings. We have Achaiah and we have Amon. And both of their powers are going to be extra available between the 21st and the 25th. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about this, if you want to actually get the rituals to summon these beings in real time and you want to learn how to do it, join us on Patreon. The recommended tier is Temple of the Celestial Rose. That is where we get into these more advanced workings because, of course, they are quite powerful. Most people start out with elemental magic, and here we are talking about the angels of the stars and the beings that dwell within the fallen kingdom, if you will. So it's a place for people that want to go deeper into things you won't find on the internet. You won't find it in books. You're going to get a lot of practical how-to information as to how to work with these beings, how to invoke them, how to command them to fulfill your will, and how to do that safely. So you can expect success, and so your world can prosper. So my friends, I will see you in our next video, which is going to be on the 25th/26th for the next Shem Angel and Goetic Demon that are pertinent to our collective energy at this time. Be well, my friends, and I will see you again quite soon.